Hello.
Yes, testing. Hello, guys. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our panel that we've got on sustainability today. Thank you for the people that have joined so far. Maybe there will be some more people that will be joining us, hopefully. And thanks for the introductions as well, Ben. Okay, so today we will be really talking about sustainability, but mainly how people can affect the choice in sustainability from a consumer's perspective. So we've got Nadia, who is from Tango Island Conservation, together with a resort, where a lot of the funding comes from a resort, for example. And then we've got Alvin from Reef Check Malaysia, who's really training citizen science to be taking part of sustainability and the solution. And then we've got Martin from Dynamic North, representing basically the scuba brands that we have in that as well, and how the sustainability can be brought forward for consumers' choices. So, and I think that, Martin, maybe that's the first question that we can go to you straight away. So,
Okay.
I think for the three of us, we're all from a non-profit conservation
Yes.
organization. You're from a for-profit conservation organization.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Well, to answer your questions, there is so multiple things we can do in the industry to make sure to give the diverse community sustainable products. So what we do is, from the very beginning, we do a very intense research on raw materials. To give you an idea, most of our products we use in diving are made from plastics, but there is numerous different plastics. There are some more harmful and there is some less harmful. Not harmful is nothing. So the point is to select less harmful raw materials, and at the same time to make sure that the material characteristics offer you the best comfort and performance of diving gear. So this is the very first step. The next step is selecting the right production methods and production plants. So there are new technologies we actually use to reduce consumption of electricity, and a lot of energy is wasted by consuming too much water. So we make sure that we have the production set up as less harmful as possible. Another thing is we can talk about is transport ways. So our products are made mainly in Europe.
It's in Germany, right?
Yes, so our headquarters is based in Germany, but our production places are all over Europe. So we have very short transport ways, at least in Europe. So when the product is coming to Asia, it looks a bit different. So we need to take or to talk very open about that. But having short production ways, delivering chains is important. Another point we need to remember is, for example, packaging. Packaging of products is very, very sensitive, because packaging, everyone wants to have a nicely packaged product, not only because it has to be nice. Packaging has to protect the product during transportation. So of course we can use, for example, just a PVC bag, a poly bag, for protecting our fins. But PVC is one of the worst plastics you can use in terms of sustainability. So
So what material do you use right now for dynamic noise?
right now we use cartons, and the cartons are made from regrown agricultural plants, and like this we try to give everything a sense, and the carton will be recycled afterwards, so at least we can give them a second life.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think we'll go a little bit more into detail after that.
Yeah.
I think, Nadia, if we go to you first, when we look at the perspective of a dive resort that is Batu Batu Resort. You guys are attached to that. Do you find that the people that are coming to Batu Batu are coming more because you guys are attached to the resort? Do they make a sustainability choice because you guys are attached to the resort? Or what's your vision on that?
Okay. Currently, actually, TIC is full-fledged NGO, no longer attached with Batu Batu.
But you work closely together, right?
But we are in partnership where they still remain as our main corporate funder.
Yeah.
Right. So by all means that we kind of like have stationed ourselves in few other side projects, not only in Tengah Island anymore, but the guests of Batu Batu still can experience our conservation work together with us.
Okay.
Like per se, they wanted to do a reef cleanup with us, they can join our program, or they can simply go to our conservation talk at the conservation center within the Tunku Abdul Jalil Conservation Center. And also they can go to our Rumah Eco at Besar Islands, where they learn about sustainable practices and also how that we actually manage island waste through a model from the Rumah Eco model. So in any way that relating to you, as a consumer or as a guest of Batu Batu, they got to experience our conservation efforts, but other guests from other resorts also can contact us and we can host them.
So it's not only anymore attached to Batu Batu.
Yeah, no longer.
But do you find that there's people that are coming, for example, to the island for the reason that you guys are there as well? So they make the choice to go specifically to a resort that is accessibility to you guys as well?
Yes, it's like in a way that if you go to Batu Batu, because they are part of our main corporate funders, that it enables us to do more conservation work without like depending much on not only on like federal funds or like a regional funds. So we actually can do a normal day-to-day basis of monitoring by this corporate funding. So in a way that guests who stay in BB contribute to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's a very, what you call it, relatively we are kind of like steady or our what you call it, operations kind of stable because of the corporate funding from Batu Batu is continuously support us since 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is mainly like, so do you find that there's people that make an active choice to come to the island because you guys are attached to it? Yes,
they do. They kind of like, they wanted to see us in actions, whether they thought like, is it a greenwash situations? Or, we are just like a pretty face or handsome guys as a marine biologist in the resort. But actually, our team really go to the 7 islands to monitor. Like we do partner with Reef Check for reef monitoring. We use Reef Check method. We do like a sea turtle collections and monitoring, relocate back to the hatcheries and all. So it's a real serious data, science data, but not only as a marine biologist in-house.
Gotcha. Okay. I think that's a good link then basically to Alvin, because when we're talking about how people can put their sustainability choice in, they can choose to be a Reef Check eco diver, right? And I think one of the main things that we want to talk about beside the Reef Check part is mainly green fins. Can you tell us a little bit about green fins and how have you seen that change in green fins, as the sustainability brand for consumers? Is that something that's becoming more and more important in the last couple of years since it started?
Okay, so green fins is it's basically an eco label for dive centers, right? It's the only one in the world actually. And when we first introduced it in 2014 in Malaysia, the main people who were attracted to it were dive centers that were already doing some sort of conservation efforts. Those that were already orientated towards conservation and were already taking efforts to reduce impacts to the environment. But since then, now over 10 years, we can see that it has become something more popular, right? More and more divers are looking for things like this. Therefore, it is creating that demand. And business is all about demand and supply, right? So when the consumer says, I want to be diving with dive centers that are eco-conscious and are, reducing their impacts to the environment, now more dive centers are interested to get on board.
So
You
there's
know?
a significant growth in that.
Oh yes, we have seen that growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we even have had dive shops who in the past we will be approached and said like, hey, we've got this program, would you like to join? And said no, straight out no. But then 5 years later, they themselves come to us and say like, you know what, Alvin, I think we want to get on board with this as well.
Yeah.
And recently, like, by the way, congratulations, Paddy Torchbearer.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Paddy recently partnered with Greenfins, and they are pushing this to all their dive centers, right? So if a Paddy dive center wants to become an eco center, then they need to get certified. They need to be at least a certain member. So you can see even the dive industry, the dive certification agencies, they are realizing this demand. Yeah.
So, and that gives a bit of an opportunity as well, because Greenfins being that brand as like, okay, this is sustainable. That's a choice that people can take to go for a Greenfins or for a Paddy Eco Center, for example. But that's an interesting part, because we were just discussing this, Martin, before. For a brand, there's no such thing. So, and I think everyone claims to be eco-friendly and claims to be, we're doing it best. How do people know that they're having a sustainable brand choice, for example, Martin?
Well, this actually is a very difficult question to answer, because right now in the industry there is no legislation who obliges you to publish your activities, what you do to produce your products as sustainable as possible. I think the important thing is when consumers take their choice, they need to go into the communication of each brand, and each brand does for sure claim for it himself, we are doing sustainable products, but there might be a part of greenwashing which we need to make sure that is real green. So when you go into the communication on the websites, there is several indications that a brand is doing products as sustainable as possible, but in the end of the day, to give you a straight answer forward to your question, it's just looking into our faces and believing what we tell them.
Yeah.
I urgently wait on clear regulations where sustainability can be measured for industry guys.
Yeah. So at the moment, it's basically the only way to take a choice of what is a sustainable brand is taking it on face value.
Yes.
I see that as a massive issue, actually, right? Like that we just need to, as a consumer, we need to believe what people are saying. That is like what we have to go by.
Yeah.
But I think that that's still a good point. So basically, legislation needs to become there for divers to become more conscious in the choice that they need to make towards a brand.
Yeah.
I think what I want to touch base on, and maybe for Naja and for Alvin, so there's a couple of things as well in terms of what can we do, right? Like, so okay, we need to take it on face value, but there's also a side of the consumer that needs to do something to voice out concerns. And I think we've got two cases that I really want to highlight. One being for you, Naja, is we saw in Kota Kinabalu a couple of months ago, that there was a turtle that is being significantly harassed for the sake of like tourists to just look at it. But yet there's like hundreds of tourists that are watching this over and over again. What do you make of that? Like, what is the choice that a consumer can have out? What can they put forward in that to make a choice or change, so to speak?
Okay. Previously is that I was like a researcher in academic background, and then I went to as in NGO, international NGO basis, and really have like different perspective within the committee perspective. And now I'm with the NGO with kind of like ties within the sustainable tourism, kind of like what you call it, principles, right? So relating to that, I understand in terms of where one, people actually are not aware that is wrong, right? That is wrong to do that, right? To harass an animal, like even you harass a cat also is wrong, right? In a way. So in any way that actually people or community are not aware enough, meaning that we have to check back the educations within the our education programs, education systems, and even the immigrations departments or customs. Whenever people enter Malaysia, does there any sets of rules saying that you cannot touch this, you cannot do that, you cannot do this? So it kind of like make people aware of that. You cannot.
The wolf, she cries at night. A breath had born in the black wind where the shadows lie. Deep inside despair, our hearts grow fierce, our minds aware. We carry on, oh, we carry on, carry on. We carry on, oh, we carry on, we carry
can curb or manage the situations. It's about policy, it's about how we handle communication strategy within each levels of our tourism operator. By all means, everybody trying their best to live.
Yeah.
But again, we as the regulator of the policy have to ensure that the operators know and kind of like agree to that policy
Yeah.
and can regulate it.
But,
yeah.
but like now we're looking from a regulation
Yeah,
perspective, right?
yeah.
Like I'm trying more see it from the consumer. So we're
Oh.
seeing a consumer, and it's a great answer. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, it's
we're as a consumer, right?
Yeah.
And we see something. Is the right thing to call it out on the dive boat right there and then? Because I think that one thing that I notice in my line of work, you see a lot of things that are going wrong, but it's accepted, if that makes sense. So I think that what I really want to make sure as a giveaway is like people do have the opportunity to do something about it.
Yeah.
So what would be the right way forward? So you said to straight away go to the operator, to the dive master, to who do they report to? So other than the fisheries, is that just directly to the people there?
Actually, they also can complain directly to the tourism operator saying that I don't want to be involved with this kind of tourism service, or kind of like I won't come again, and kind of like I won't support your business and share it with my friends. In a way that people or the business owner will feel threatened that actually this is actually didn't making me more profit. So actually people don't like it. But in a way that person make it viral, in a way we can see the situations where people bashing and making them feel ashamed, and they don't want to do that after that. So it's like a two sides of the coins, whether it's gonna be good or you're gonna influence more tourism operator to do that, because of you can see within the comments there are people like it, like, oh, actually I want to touch the turtle. It's like in any
Yeah.
way, again, it's about awareness. What is the do's and wrong after
Yeah.
the event viral? What does the education part of it to make sure that citizens know that it's wrong, right?
Understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think there's a lot into it, right? Like there's an education side of things. A lot of people don't even know that it's wrong.
Yeah.
And I think,
That's why.
Alvin, I have to go to you on this one. So we have, for example, spearfishing, right? Spearfishing is a sport that is being accepted. It's sustainable because there is a choice in what you pick. But now there is a more coming trend that we see more often is spearfishing on scuba. is that something that you think that is acceptable or non-acceptable? And what is the regulation inside of Malaysia for this? And what can a consumer do about this?
So actually, spearfishing is in Malaysia. If you want to get involved in spearfishing, you must have a permit. The spear gun, even owning a spear gun, it comes under the Firearms Act, right? So that's the first thing. So most of the people who are out doing it in Malaysia don't have a permit, right? Number two, doing it on scuba is just, I mean, there's no sportsmanship in that, right? In many countries, yes, you're allowed to spearfish, but only on free diving, okay? And again, the problem is, what people tend to do is push the limit. You know, like, oh, okay, right, spearfishing, I don't have a permit, but I'm only going to do it on this island, first of all, okay. Then they are like, oh, well, I'm going to do it on scuba, but I'm only going to take the big fish, right? I'm being very sustainable. I'm only going to choose what I want to take. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to spear at this site. And then they end up in a tourist site. So I've had reports of people spearfishing on Tioman in Pulau Renggis, like one of the most important dive sites in the Tioman Marine Park, on scuba, right? So where do you draw this line? People like to say like, oh, it's sustainable, but when you're doing it on scuba, is it still sustainable? When you're doing it at a dive site, is it now a threat to the other tourists there? So I do not think this is something that is very logical to do. I don't think it's something that I would promote. If you want to do it, I would say, you know, go get the proper permits that you need to do it, and then make sure you're doing it at a site that isn't used for recreational activities. Yeah, and then the dive centers, they need to have some sort of integrity, right? Because what we are seeing in certain places is the dive shops are actually running these trips.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
While other scuba divers who are non-spearfishing on the same boat.
Exactly. So this is, I mean, like, again, like, where do you draw the line? You know, imagine if a diver, a tourist, got speared in Malaysia and killed. Imagine that headlines. Brit dies, got shot by spear gun in Tioman Island. Imagine what that would do for the entire dive industry on Tioman Island.
Yeah.
You know, so yes, it's very unsustainable if you're going to do it that way, right? It's not only about the fish anymore, it's now about the whole industry. It's about all the other dive centers in that place. So I think this is a very, sadly it's a topic that's becoming more and more popular.
Definitely,
because
yeah.
those days it was hard to get spear guns. Now you can order it through Shopee. And if you can't buy the whole gun, you just order it in parts and build it together. You know, so this is something that I think the dive centers need to put their foot down and need to decide, like, no, we are not going to entertain this, we are not going to do it, especially in tourism popular sites.
Yeah. I think, Martin, do you want to add anything to that as well?
Well, maybe I just share some experiences from a consumer side, because I'm diving a lot in different areas. So when I look into European diving sites, especially Mediterranean, there is countries where spearfishing is very popular, and there are countries where it is totally banned. So, for example, when you go spearfishing in Germany, first of all, it's illegal. And if you still do it, even if it's legal, and you have scuba divers around you, you will have a huge shitstorm against you. You will not do that again. I'm quite sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's for me the shocking part, is that you now see dive boats that have both. So you've got scuba divers on scuba and normal consumer recreational divers there.
Yeah.
And I find that's like, do you have anything like that in Tenga?
I think we've experienced is that people go spearfishing at night, like they know that it's illegal, so they went out at night. So we can see, like, we fly our drones. Whenever we see there's what you call it, lights underwater. So we know that, because what happens within the area, they harvest sea cucumber. Not only that, they try to spearfish whatever fish that they have. Yeah. So in any ways that I think it's a cheap thrill for them.
Yeah.
Like it's a very pristine islands.
Mm.
But again, you can see in when I first came within the islands, I can see a different what you call it population fish biomass within the Johor Marine Park and to the other East Coast areas. So you can see how heavily users being fishing around the MPAs.
Gotcha.
Right. So in any way, again, it's about whether the consumers' behavior, how that actually they can choose whether, okay, I know already boat operator are doing unethical things, so don't go and support them, right? You can always choose because we have like around 400 to 600 licensed boat operators within the Mersing areas, right? So you can choose.
There is the choice always there.
Yeah, so TIC now is promoting sustainable tourism package where we kind of like trying to get all the tourism operator and players to come in one house and kind of like trying to regulate them within the islands and also to ensure that they can charge more but by providing more, like in terms of one, they follow the kind of like speed limit within the MPA. They bring them kind of like around and guide them, okay, this is the seagrass area where dugong eats and all, right? And for them to kind of like regulate their boat operators, boat tourism activities, rather than everybody like racing like a maniac, like doing donuts within the MPAs, and they thought that it's fun for the customer, for the guest. Yeah.
So do you believe in that kind of sense, like, the consumer has that power to sort of speak up? How does a consumer, like Alvin, you might be more, a consumer for you, you said no to the airport. It's a big thing, right? And that's one person that speaks up. I think that what we really need to think about as well is that there is, as a consumer, everyone, like all of us are divers as well, we do have a power, we do have a choice, and we do have a voice. And I think that when you have that voice and you do speak up, even when it's against people that might be quite high up there, like that eventually can still very much lead to change. I think if we are looking at a policy perspective, right? How do you think that a consumer's voice can actually change? Like what can a consumer today do for some unsustainable practices that are currently taking place? Is there a platform where they can find petitions? Like what can a consumer do nowadays, Alvin?
Ooh. That's a good question. For consumers to change policy, again, it's very tricky. Again, they would have to be able to, first of all, gather enough of a support to get, like a large enough number of people to ask for that change. And then you would have to bring it up with, for example, depending on which ministry it falls under, right? So for example, if we're talking about something regarding unsustainable seafood or what, then you'll have to go under MAFI, Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Technology, food industries, I mean. But let's bring it down a little bit from there. Policy is high, it's hard, it takes time.
Yeah.
But just the demand, the buying power is very powerful. I mean, if we take something as easy as sunblock, reef safe sunblock. 10 years ago to buy reef safe sunblock, it was so expensive and not easy to get. But fast forward today, we can find it in most of our pharmacies.
Even just around here, there's plenty of them already.
Exactly, yeah, Sunplay. Like I saw Sunplay here, they are one of the brands that are reef safe and at a very reasonable price. Now this came from consumer demand. It wasn't, there's no law, there's no regulation until now to control sunblock, right?
Yeah.
But just purely from consumer demand. So same thing with the green hotels, with green snorkel guides, with green dive shops, if the public demands that thing and if they put money towards that, that is where the businesses will automatically steer towards. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that. You want to add anything to that, Naja?
I think add on to what Alvin say is that it's about the behavioral change theory, right? So again, who is the biggest threats contributor for the areas? So it's actually the users, the guests, who is actually maybe they are unaware. So how you wanted to change behavior by then, that's the strategy that you have to tackle. Yeah, the consumer does have the biggest, what you call it, threats towards the environment, because if they are still supporting this unregulated tourism, unresponsible tourism operator, by all means, that actually they are also a contributor to this problem. So yeah, so there's need a specific strategy to tackle this behavior. On what level? Education, awareness, proper policy in place, permit, licensing system like Mythos immersing. If you wanted to go dive in that area, you have to be, certified divers and all, in a certain areas. And carrying capacity like Sipadan, only 100 people can dive within a week. How good is that? Yeah, so yeah, I really hope that other MPAs are taking that so that we can charge people more and protect our environment better. And they can, have a better experience. Like again, previous chat saying that without reef, you cannot dive. Without reef, how can you swim in a beautiful water, right? Yeah.
And what do you think is the power of social media that plays in all of this, like the sustainable choices and whatever? And I think when we go to you, Martin, particularly in the sense of like you're coming from a for-profit brand that chooses sustainability. That's a hard choice, right? Like
it's a hard choice, but for us it was a very logical consequence, even when we get started, because the brand was founded in 2018, so we are a young brand, and to make sure that our brand has a future, we have to make sure to work in a sustainable way, because otherwise there is no future. So, and you're asking about social media. Social media is a very, very important instrument to communicate and to educate. So I come back to education, because everything is depending on educating the people what to do, what not to do, what is ethical, what is respectful to the nature. So it's a very important channel for us to communicate. So the essence is for us that we know that our oceans are eternal and we love our oceans, and let's protect what we love. That's it.
Yeah, and I think that the power comes there as well. It's like every individual has a change, so to speak. So it's like, the saying of like, okay, a lot of people say it's like, well, it's only one person doing it. It will not make a change. But I think that as one person speaks up and more people speak up, and it becomes like not a movement, it's maybe a big thing, but you can really get a lot of achieved with these kind of things. And I think that social media is a massive part in that, particularly when we see, sorry? Hey, 6:15, right? 6:15? Not. Okay. Well, apparently not 6:15, so we're just gonna cut it here now then. Okay. So, if you all have one or two sentences to give away of how people can make an influential change as a consumer, one or two sentences, because we don't have more time.
Yeah, well, again, so what I said before, it's really one of our incorporated things. That means, in general, let's protect what we love, and the best thing to communicate is by educating the people, and never stop educating. In the very beginning, that's maybe a few guys just following the rules, but they are getting more and more and more. Just don't stop communicating.
Yeah. Alvin?
I would say do your homework and choose the businesses that you want to support, right?
Okay. Thank you.
And as for me, as a consumer, you hold the money, you choose right, and then at the end of the day, you want your money to actually eventually save the environment. So you can go back to that same pristine environment and enjoy that environment. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. All right, so we're gonna call it quits now because we don't have more time, apparently. So thank you very much all for joining it. So we've got Dynamic Nord with the beautiful booth just behind here. Naja and Alvin and myself, we're all at the pavilion behind here. If you want to know more, because we do have more to say and there is more to talk about, come and find us there and we'll have a chat about it. Thank you very much.
Yes. Robin, thank you, Robin. And of course, thank you to all our panelists. And of course, that was the last presentation for the stage. And meanwhile, coming up shortly, we're going to have the lucky draw, yeah? So we're going to have 20 draws. And to those of you who are present right here, please come forward toward the main stage as the lucky draw segment is going to commence in a few moments from now. And once again, a very good evening to all visitors. Welcome back to the 19th Malaysia International Dive Expo 2025. Thank you. Yes, sir.